Yo, 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 you tuning into the Notion Podcast. I'm your host, Dizzy D. Spill, and you are tuning in to a special edition of Outlawed Opinions with yours truly. We are coming off of the Father's Day weekend, Father's Day celebration, and it just so happens that a lot of these topics are going to be about the men, the fellas. Now, I do have a topic to discuss as far as in the father-son dynamic that just really caught my attention. But I just wanted to get into a couple things that I've been seeing that's came across my desk. Some have been sent to me. Some are things that I just witnessed on my own. And I wanted to talk about it. And, without further ado, wanted to get into something that I thought was interesting. Will Smith. Yes, the man that's been trolled for the past few years because of the stunt he pulled at the Oscars. Well, he's making headlines again because he came out with a single that's actually on his album. The album is not terrible, called I Like Girls. And a lot of people aren't feeling it. And, everybody has their opinion. Everybody has their cup of tea and things that they're interested in, things that they're not interested in. And one of the things that I found hilarious was that I wanted to talk about some of the feedback that he's gotten. And so with seeing that feedback, I got some stuff playing right here pertaining to it. But when I seen the feedback online, people were just like, oh man, he's almost 60. He's talking about he loves girls and not women. And those statements like that make me really, really hate the times that we're living in right now. You understand what the man is saying. I'm not saying you got to love the song or like the song or even like Will Smith. But one thing that I cannot stand about today's climate is people find a reason to reach for every damn thing. And it is just annoying. Like, if you hate something, fine. You want to leave a comment on it. But I never understood people that comment on things that they already hate. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I never really understood that concept. I never really understood what is supposed to come from that. If I already despise something or someone and I happen to see that come across my desk or my feed or whatever the case is, most of the time I'm just going to move along like whatever or press not interested. But people really go out of their way. And so when I seen this, I operate from my like page a lot of times, my Dizzy D Spill official page. And so I decided to say, imagine doing what you love and having fun. And then the internet and critics tell you you're doing it wrong. Laugh out loud. Y'all really mad in these comments. And about 113 people agree with me as far as likes. Over 25 replies in this thread. I might share it. I might not. And it was interesting to me that, hey, what's up, y'all? I just want to let you guys know that we enjoy and we appreciate all the viewership that we're getting. But the crazy thing is, looking at our numbers, is there's a large amount of you guys that always watch but never subscribe and turn the notifications on. And we know you enjoy the content. So in order to be notified in a timely fashion when we go live, when we're coming out with new content, please make sure you press the subscribe button and turn the notifications on at the bell so you don't miss anything exclusive or anything new that the Notion Podcast has to offer. Until the next episode, peace. The majority was on the same page, but you got a couple people peppered in there that wanted to say their take. Like, well, he put it out on the internet and the internet is a place. That's not my point. My point is not about what the internet is for and what the comment section is for. I just simply made an observation. And to be honest, maybe I am a little biased because I've always had respect for Will Smith as an actor and as an artist, being the first hip hop artist to win a Grammy. And a lot of people don't respect him. A lot of people call him bubblegum and this, that, and the third. But a lot of people have also modeled their careers after his. They started out rapping and now they're acting and on TV shows and in movies and all of that stuff. But he's a cornball, right? Well, okay. I guess that makes a lot of y'all cornballs too that follow the same formula. But the thing is that I wanted to really point out about society and our climate as far as in culture is that if if Sexy Red comes out with a song that's talking about what she talks about, there's a lot of people that would critique that, criticize that. That's not good. That's not a good image. That's not setting a good example. All of these different things. Will Smith, for the most part, I would say 90% of his career, and that's including the slap that he delivered to Chris Rock on the Oscars or at the Oscars. I think it's safe to say, and it's fair to say, that he's been pretty positive and pretty much tried to give a good message, a decent image, and kind of give you that blueprint on how to do that. So when he does something that might be a little corny or just a little, whatever you want to call it, as far as in him having fun with music again, you have people that are criticizing it like he's dead serious. Anybody who knows anything about this man's content, since he's got on Instagram, he's very creative. He does a lot of different art styles and cool effects with his content. And when it comes to his music, he's always just been somebody that's had fun. I think the most serious song that Will Smith has probably had was Just the Two of Us that he did with his son Trey. I thought that was a serious song, and I thought there was a lot of dope lines and relatable things, with me being a father and it coming off of the Father's Day weekend that I could relate to, right? But people really do be upset in the comment section over something that they were never going to like before they seen it or heard it, just because of who it is. So I thought that was really interesting. And then what I thought was interesting was some of the people that was replying back to me, or some of the people that was just really, hammering hard on, this is corny, he's too old for this. Like, y'all tell me. You guys tell me in the comments, whatever whatever platform you're tuning in on, tell me in the comments what's too old when it comes to, in your eyes, what's too old to be a hip hop artist or R&B artist or any artist, any type of artistry and music. What is the age limit that you guys believe you have to be to no longer participate or to switch up the subjects? Because and this is a real question you guys can answer, because from where I stand, I'm going to always do music. I'm going to always record my songs. I'm always make beats and have these different ideas. I'm not going to let anybody put a cap on my creativity and my artistry. However, I do believe that there comes a time, depending on what type of artist you are, where you do have to grow with age. Depending on how old you are, you have to grow. And you have to talk about different things. I remember seeing a clip of Andre 3000 when he was being interviewed, and they were asking him, why aren't you, doing music? You're not rapping, this, that, and the other. And he was saying, man, I'm old. What I'm going to talk about? Like, I can't talk about the stuff I used to talk about when I was young. So what I'm going to talk about? Like the stuff that old people go through. And he was naming off, different challenges health-wise and stuff. Like, what I'm going to do, rap about that? And I thought that was unfortunate that Andre 3000 felt that way, only because there's plenty of things to talk about in the world. There's plenty of things to talk about what's going on. Michael Jackson was a really good artist to do that, where he talked about the world and hunger and all that stuff. And that was his lane, for, what he did. But I do believe that you can always give a dope message to your audience that's now grown up with you. I think a lot of times entertainers and artists forget that, yeah, even though your fans, you grew up and your fans grew up too, there's nothing wrong with making some grown up music, for the fans that grew up with you, right? But, that's not always the same, for everyone. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting. And another thing I thought it was interesting, like I said, was the people that was responding to me in the threads. Well, you're commenting too. And I was just like, yo, y'all look for arguments. Y'all, let me tell you something, social media. Because they say the internet is undefeated. I mean, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the internet can be defeated. Because the minute somebody cut this damn thing off, y'all ain't going to know what to do. Y'all ain't going to know where to go. Y'all ain't going to know how to drive anywhere or anything, because y'all so dependent on these devices and the internet. But the thing that I find interesting is that people take so much time to respond with anger and hate and despise and all of these different things on the internet. And what I believe is that most of these people got a lot of demons that they're fighting. They got a lot of pain that they're trying to deal with or don't know how to deal with. Now, when I see people posting things that make them happy and excited, hey, I want to share this experience with you. But I'm here to tell you, most people don't give a damn about your negative opinion, your negative feelings, and your negative thoughts unless it's other negative people or people that are like-minded thinking about negative things. That's just what it is. You could disagree. You can get mad. You can write whatever you want to write in the comments and do whatever y'all do like y'all always do every week. But that's the truth. We respond to things because a part of us is like-minded. When I made that post, there were so many different people that agreed, like, yeah, what's up? Why are people so mad? Nobody even said the song was good. Even I didn't say the song was good. I don't like the song. I could care less for that type of music for Will Smith. But I don't feel that moved to want to talk about his age, what he should be talking about, and how I feel about his music just because I can't relate to that song. And I think that's the problem with social media. Anything we can't relate to, we want to criticize and bash and judge. And that's funny to me. If anything, I want to have an understanding. I want to have a deeper understanding before I just say I'm a judge this or I don't like that or that's trash or that's whack or whatever. It's weird. So, in my opinion, hey, Will Smith, keep doing your thing, man. I enjoy seeing Will Smith do music. Sometimes when you haven't done it in a long time, you got to get back into the rhythm. And sometimes you realize, like, hey, man, this is kind of like my old style. I need to rebrand myself. And we've seen so many people rebrand themselves. You look at these guys from the 80s and the 90s, you know, when they came out, they rebranded themselves. It's not really rebranded, but they kind of switched up their style and their cadence. You can still tell it's them. They got that smoothness, that freshness to them, but they also try to be more modern, but still staying true to what they've always been and who they've always been. So I hope Will Smith piss y'all off with more music, and I hope he has a whole bunch of song titles that really distract y'all and really hurt y'all from being able to sleep at night, because no celebrity got me missing any sleep or got me diverged into not enjoying myself. But I'm telling y'all, some of y'all in the comments, and there was some people in the comments that I thought was the pot calling the kettle black. And if you want me to be specific, there was one person that came from the community who was very, very critical on his age and how he's representing himself and the women he had in this music video. And I thought that was very interesting because the community that this gentleman comes from gets a lot of criticism, gets a lot of judgment, and often they are misunderstood. But here you are taking the first opportunity in somebody's comment to try to state your case. So I'm telling you, man, internet is a wild place. Very confusing place, and sometimes a very annoying place when somebody's just trying to have fun. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what that feels like. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen comments and all of that stuff. But anyways, you know, the song by Will Smith or the video, I couldn't play the audio or whatever, but you know, you have a gist of what it was. But like I said, man, just try to enjoy yourself. Stop being so damn negative and angry, man. It ain't nothing that deep for people to be mad at. It's Will Smith. Will Smith he's never really done anything that's not like him except for the Oscar slap. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like that was a lot of anger just building up. I was just bubbling, man. I was like hot water on the stove. Something was just gonna happen. It was bubbling. But whatever. Will Smith did a thing. To the people that's hating on Will, don't watch the brother. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like him that much or you don't care for him, don't watch the brother. That's how I feel about it. I also wanted to get into this full game, man. The thing about the game that bothers me sometimes is I can't tell if he's trolling or not. A few years ago on my page, for those that don't know, I go by Dizzy D Spill. You can go check out my page, see some of the content I post on there. I have a video where I responded to something he posted about taking care of everything for a woman. You know, if he has a woman, she's not going to be working. She's not going to be paying for this, paying for that. And I had a rebuttal for that. And I wasn't necessarily saying that game was wrong. I was just giving my commentary on that and adding some reality to that, because a lot of times when the relationship conversation shows up about bills and finances and careers, we get beside ourselves, like we're not in these stats, as far as in status and tax brackets. We make up the majority of us that are not rich. We make up these stats, and I'll explain to you what I mean. But Game posted it, and a couple other platforms, they took it and ran with it because it's Game, right? He posted a story post that says, "Fellas, stay single unless you're ready for the every 2-week bare minimum. Number 1, lashes, $200. Number 2, hair, $300. Number 3, nails, $250. Number 4, toes, $200. Makeup, $200. Little lunch money, $500. Drinks with the homegirls, $500. And Lil Aloe, Lulu, and Labubu, $1,000. I just found out what the hell Labubu was like a week or two ago. Whatever. But when you do the math on this, and I'm just from bottom to top, from reading, the higher numbers. So I got 1,000, 500, 2,000, 2,400, 2,650, 7, 8, 9, 2,950, 3,000, 3,100. So $3,150, $3,150 is what I added up. Hopefully I wasn't wrong, but about 3,100. $3,150 is what I added up for 2-week bare minimum. Look, man, he could be trolling. Maybe he's dealing with a woman that got them kind of standards or what. But if he's dead serious, or any men or women that agree with this, I got a lot to say. Let me explain. Before I explain, I got a question for y'all. Go ahead and drop that in the comment section too. Drop your answers in the comment section too for this question. At what point in reality and in time, in what era did this happen where men are literally paying for a woman's upkeep that she was paying for prior to meeting him? Ladies, can you really imagine a man out there saying, listen, if you really gonna prove to me that you love me and you loyal, you're gonna pay for my haircuts and my lineups and my beard shape ups or my braids or whatever hairstyle, my dread retwists. You need to make sure that I get a pedicure and manicure as well, because, I take care of myself, massages, right? I'm gonna need my lunch packed every day. What happened? First of all, I think it's interesting that these standards keep being a conversation. And this is tied into the 50-50 conversation and all of these other things as far as dating in different cultures. But specifically, I'm talking about the Black community. But what happened? Was it hip hop? Was it a lot of rappers tricking off? What happened in society and in the Black community where this became the new norm, that men got to pay for lashes, hair, nails, toes, makeup, your lunches, your extracurricular activities with your homegirls, and whatever designer and popular clothing or materials that's out there for that time? When did this happen? And who is it happening for? Because I'm going to give you my synopsis on all of this. Usually dudes that are paying for all of these things for a woman are not guys that really work hourly or salary for their money. They get that fast money. They may be a D-boy, they may be a scammer, they might be a barber, a popular barber, DJ, or maybe even an athlete that's in the Gatorade League, aka the G League. They make a little bit of money to be able to pay for those things. But men that go to work every day, that have careers and not just a job, they're not hell-bent on paying $3,150 just for these things for a woman to what? To pose on Instagram? To update their OnlyFans? What does this have to even do with a relationship? This is about her looks. The majority of this is about a woman's looks. And I'm speaking to this, not accusing women of making this standard. I do know that there are many women that live by this standard, right? And they exercise their options to be able to have these things fulfilled. But the problem is number one, this is the game saying this. This is a hip hop artist that's been in the industry well over 20 years, does not work a regular 9 to 5, probably doesn't even know what that feels like because he's been well off for a very long time, telling society that they should be spending this kind of money in a time right now where the economy is horrible, gas prices are terrible, food is expensive, kids are being diagnosed with everything in the book, people are stressed out, it's hard to find jobs, it's hard to save money. Over 60% of this country doesn't have $500 in their savings account for a major repair that they may need if it's an emergency. And we over here talking about these are the dating standards. And the reason why this is slightly triggering for me is because black people have a problem in our community. We have a problem with flex culture. We want to flex on those that have less than us because we feel they was hating or they didn't believe in us. And we also have a problem with being broke and looking rich. We think it's okay to have $27 in our checking account and -10 in our savings, but we got a Birkin or we got a Hellcat. And I'm just looking at them like, hell no. Newsflash, people. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's not about how much you make. It's how much you keep. Where you invest your money and how you maintain. It's about elevating your income and shrinking your debt to income ratio and things of that nature. I'll save a lot of that stuff for Boss Talk episodes. But I'm here to explain that this concept of when you're ready for a relationship is based off of finances is one of the dumbest things that people can do, because you're not guaranteed finances unless you have an inheritance, unless you have some crazy deal like Allen Iverson. Shout out to Allen Iverson. I think he just turned 50, and they did something dope early in his career where they basically did a trust for him to where he couldn't touch like $40 or $50 million of his contract until he turned 50. So he's been broke multiple times, learned a lot of lessons, and now he's about to touch that money like the old AI. But now he's the old AI. Get it? Anyways, things like that, if you don't have things like that set up in your life, you can't afford to just be tricking off money like that just to prove that you can take care of something that somebody should be taking care of themselves because they're an adult and they're a functioning adult and they're a working adult. We have to get out of this mindset as a people that you're not a man if you can't pay for this for a woman, or you're not a real woman if you don't know the traditional things or don't do the traditional things. It's about finding companionship, being together, actually staying together, especially if you have children. We don't want to have these conversations, but when we want to argue about what a man or a woman should do, it doesn't even matter what that man or that woman is doing if it's not your woman or your man. So with Game saying this, can you call it a little tone deaf? Yeah, because your fans, the people that listen to you, hell, the people that even interview you, don't touch the money that you touch or have never touched the money that you've touched and seen. So I thought that was, I thought that was cap. Any of you men that's out there paying for things like this, and this is not your wife, I really feel for you, and I think you should really take the time to sit down and reevaluate what's important and what you should be doing in your life. And then most importantly, if you are doing these things for a woman, right? You are paying for lashes, hair, and all of that drama, right? If you're really doing those things, what is she doing for you? And I don't even mean material-wise. I don't ever think it should be tit for tat like that. Like, if this woman is like cooking every single day. You never have to really eat takeout. You know what I'm saying? She even will take care of the finances. She'll make sure all the bills are paid as long as she has access to the money to do it. You know, if she's making your life significantly easier on a daily basis and you can afford to pay for those things for a woman, go for it. I think any woman that is not self-centered and that is humble and that is kind and polite and really understands the value of the man that she has, I think she does deserve for all those things to be paid for and done if that man can afford it. But if that man can't afford it, it doesn't make him less of a man. It doesn't make him irresponsible. It doesn't make him anything but human and a person that's really out here trying to get it. Because everything on that list, not one of those things was a necessity. And that's a lot of times what we have a problem with in our community is we name a lot of things. We have a lot of standards that aren't even necessities. We say, you need to bring this to the table, and it's not a necessity. It doesn't make any sense. We are not in a position as a community to be calling anybody broke because we don't own things. We have a couple people in our community that own certain things, but we don't own things like other communities do. And you know what I mean. For those that's listened to the Notion podcast, you know what I'm getting into, and I'm not trying to go down that road. I'll take a short drive down that road. Black people, we don't own communities like other communities do. And you know what I'm talking about. You go to these big cities like LA, San Francisco, especially out here in California, there's Chinatowns. They have their own banks, their own grocery stores and things of that nature. We're not there yet. So before we start talking to each other about what we don't have and what you should be doing for your woman or what you should be doing for your man, we need to be talking about why we still don't have certain things in our community, like our own schools, our own banks, hell, police precincts. You want police reform? Maybe that's how it needs to be done in the community. But we got to stop this nonsense about hair and nails. And I just knew it was Negro buffoonery when I started reading the list of stuff that a man needs to be doing in order to date. Here's my question. You know what? This isn't a question. Here's my statement. If any woman can't maintain these things for herself, she shouldn't be dating. If you can't pay for your own bills and feed yourself and get your own hair and nails and stuff like that done, you don't need to be out here dating and sleeping with no man either. Because you're down bad. You can't even maintain yourself. We've spent a lot of time over the past in society telling men when they shouldn't be dating, telling men what type of woman they should approach based off of their tax bracket, their height, their sex game, and everything else. But we don't have a whole lot of sisters out here. We have some, but we don't have a whole lot of sisters out here telling these women what they need to be doing and what they shouldn't be doing when it comes to dating. So that's my take on that. Like I said, I don't know if Game was trolling or what, but leave your feedback in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with this list that Game has? Do you think he's trolling? I would love to hear the takes on that. I really would, because it was a little ratchet, little too ratchet. And speaking of relationships, I definitely wanted to get into this clip I came across with Joe Budden and his lady. It's obviously on the Joe Budden Network on YouTube and all his other platforms that he streams and posts his content. But it was a very controversial conversation that I wanted to talk to the culture about. Black men and black women. Please chime in on this. So on this particular show, Joe Budden and two of his friends that are in a relationship were having the relationship conversation about marriage and stuff like that. And Joe Budden's lady at the time, because I don't know how old this is, it came across my desk, somebody sent it to me. And his lady basically called out his homeboy and said, "Hey, how are you pro-black and married to a white woman?"
A lot of men that are pro-black, right? And then you date a white woman and they're trying to figure out, how are you pro-black and you're dating a white woman?
Ooh,
Listen, when you marry
be
a
firm
white
with this
woman,
one.
or your generational wealth, your wealth is going to go back to the white community.
Not true.
Because
Pro-black, if we want to use that term, because I'm definitely pro-black.
How do we all feel about prenups?
I mean, I wouldn't even consider a prenup. She might have more money than me too, so I don't really might need to go the opposite way. Would you
Joe?
Absolutely, I would. Sorry. I have kids. Whatever we get together, it's different. Whatever I have from before belongs to my kids. I mean, respectfully, that's just the way it is. Same. I don't expect anything from you either. You know that. Never did.
Wait.
Keno's like,
What the fuck she talking about?
When I have children. I was married before, so there's assets and things I have from before.
That he can't eat off of.
That he
can't touch, look at.
He won't be able to get.
But he can't even look that way. Don't think about it.
I agree.
Yeah, because it belongs to my kids.
But there are things where if I need
What?
No.
Yeah, but it's her discretion.
No.
He's rethinking this.
He just found that out.
I tell you this, anything I got, she would have to handle. She would have to handle because I think she
would what?
If something happened to me, anything I got, she would have to handle because I would trust her to make sure my kids.
So you made her your executor?
I would. I didn't say yet.
No. You said.
I said apparently. I don't fucking know. Apparently we're getting one. This shit over here.
Or getting ready to marry, but I guess married to a white woman. Yeah, I had to sip to that. That's such a loaded question in today's climate. And you can't answer that just super duper easy no matter what side of the tracks you're on about the way you feel for so many different reasons. But he responded and he said, no, I'm pro-black and I could be pro-black. And the clip kind of bounced around to different things. But her main point, Joe Budden's lady's main point was, if anything were ever to happen to you, all of your generational wealth would leave, I guess, the community and go to her or whatever the case it was. And she kind of chimed in and she was like, oh, and then the other couple threw in like prenups, which is kind of related to the whole transition of wealth if something were to happen to you, right? And his wife, the brother's wife that's pro-black, who's a white woman, she spoke up and she said, well, she's basically down with a prenup because there's certain things that her husband, this brother, wouldn't be able to get off of her because they're for her kids. And I feel like a lot of people misinterpreted that, even Joe Budden and everybody. I feel like they kind of misinterpreted, not trying to be the savior for her, but it's because I understand things like trusts, will, probate, things of that nature, because I've been taught, by my mother about it and also reading CPA books. And what I think she was trying to explain is that she, has kids from a previous marriage and relationship. So there's already things written, set in stone for if anything were to happen to her, those children would receive that no matter who she's married to and who she's dealing with. People have their things set up like that very early in their children's lives and in their lives when they start becoming affluent. But he didn't really get that. And he was kind of like, well, I'm a little lost because he was on this whole, yeah, man, she gets this and it'd probably be better if she took care of this anyway because I don't know how to take care of that stuff. It looked really bad because, brother, man, you should understand what things take place when somebody passes away. You should understand when people don't have a will, they don't have their affairs in order, things fall into probate and they become such a drag and a financial burden for the family just to sustain assets and things that you left behind. So it shouldn't be my woman takes care of all that. Men, especially men that are successful, we got to get out of this mindset that it's okay to not care about certain things because our woman will take care of it, because you have to put things in place. They call it controlling it from the grave to make sure things go as planned when you're not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's documents you sign to where by law in court, they have to be upheld. But it made him look bad. It made him look like he don't know his woman because our woman had her stuff together and had her plans if anything ever happens, and he's just trusting her fully. But going back to the point about a black man being pro-black but not marrying or dating a black woman, there's so many layers to that. And I'm not going to get on the defensive layers, on how that could be possible. I'll just talk about the obvious. I think it can be challenging for brothers and sisters because black men aren't the only one that dates outside their race in the community. Sisters do it too. it could be challenging to those that have a hard time trusting other cultures based off of the historical relationship we've had with other cultures, depending on what culture you're married to or dating. So it can be challenging, but we do have to stop saying that you can't or won't be pro-black because of your wife and her not being black, because we like to celebrate billionaires. And I hate to explain it to you, but our billionaires are some of the worst examples when it comes to influence as far as in the black family, keeping a family together and staying married to the same person you've always been with. They're not the best examples. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because they're human and they make decisions too. Michael Jordan is not married to Juanita Jordan anymore. After she took her $500 million, he moved on and he married somebody else and he had twin girls, and that's by a white woman. Byron Allen is definitely pro-black. He actually just won a case against McDonald's. It was a $10 billion lawsuit. He didn't get $10 billion. I wish a lot of these platforms would stop lying. He did not get $10 billion, but he did have an agreement, a settlement with McDonald's regarding something that they promised during COVID, as far as in investing in the black community. He is not married to a black woman. He's married to a white woman. James Earl Jones, Darth Vader, everybody's dad, the OG, King Joffrey Joe was married to a white woman the whole entire time we were alive. If you were a millennial, if you're Gen Z, if you're even Gen X, the whole time we seen this brother, as powerful as he was, playing Mufasa and all of that stuff, was married to a white woman. Does that make any of these men less black? Does that mean that they gave less to the community and that they don't care about the community? No. Is it kind of difficult to understand why they would love the community so much and could not find a sister to spend the rest of their life with? Yeah, it's a head scratcher, but that doesn't take anything away from what they've contributed to the community, and it doesn't take anything away from who they are and what they believe about us as a people. We like to take things that we have a discrepancy with in our community and judge who they are and what they contribute to the culture off of what we disagree with. Kobe was not married to a black woman. And I've seen some black women kind of get on his helmet, unfortunately, after he passed away. But they're still part of the community. They're still part of the culture, and they still have contributed to things in our community that we want to put an asterisk next to just because of who they're with. I mean, if we're going to do that, right? If we're going to play that game and we're going to say that you're not really pro-black because of who you date, cool, fine. Let's play by those rules. So that means if you date strippers, if you date 304s, if you date scammers, if you date gangsters, if you date crooked people, you are not pro-black either. Because none of those things help our community. None of those things make us better as a people. They don't get us through doors that we can't get through or anything. So if we're going to say that somebody is not pro-black, a man or a woman, a black woman or a black man, based off who they date, then we can use that same logic when it comes to all of the F boys that y'all date. Okay, these are the men that you guys are having babies about, and then judge all black men for, right? Y'all have babies by these dudes, and you judge all black men. So no, you're not pro-black either. If you're creating broken homes, that means you're not pro-black, right? Yeah, we got to be careful how we judge and how we create these crazy controversial biases because they're beneficial to how you're feeling in the moment. Sisters, I get it. There's brothers out there that talk reckless and they say black women are this, black women are that. And I'm going to be honest, half of the stuff is true about what some of these brothers be saying about black women. But you know what? Half of the stuff is true of what these sisters be saying about black men. But our biggest problem is we generalize and we're not specific, and we wonder why there's no change. We have to be specific on the problems if we want to attack the problem. So maybe we shouldn't say black men when you have an issue with black men. Maybe we shouldn't say black women when with when we have an issue with black women. We should be saying a specific type to give a better description and understanding of what the issue is. So no, I don't agree. I don't think that you have to be married to a black woman or a black man to be pro-black. However, I do feel that your conversations might be a little limited depending on the magnitude of them. If you are not with a sister, or you have a problem with not being with sisters, or you have a problem with not being with a brother, then your conversations might be a little bit limited on what you chime in on, because you're not going to be able to relate to everything. That's just the facts. You're not. You're not going to be able to relate. And depending on how you move, you probably don't have a voice at all. So I'm not against it. I'm not saying that you can't be in a mixed relationship, all right? But what I am saying is that there can be some limitations to what you're being vocal about. But I do think at the end of the day, the main point about being pro-black is about what you contribute to your community, not who you're sleeping with. Because there was a point when I had this conversation with Poe, there was a point that was made by him that I appreciated and I 100% agree with. There's black people that don't do nothing for the community. Are they pro-black? There's black people that contribute to the detriment of our community. Are they pro-black? We have some people that are straight up black, dated black, been around black, and have destroyed black. And there's some people that don't date black and have contributed way more than the people that are so-called, yeah, I'm with mine. So be careful with the statements. I get where Joe Budden's lady was coming from, but we can't sit up there and tell somebody what they are based off of who they date and who they're with. We have to base who they are and what they represent off what they're doing. Are they getting out here in the streets, and are they donating? Are they providing jobs? Are they fighting for certain laws? Are they fighting for fairness in certain industries and things of that nature? That's what makes you pro-black, when you get out there and you fight for your people and you fight every day to make a difference. Not who you're screwing and who you're married to, who you decided to fall in love with. That's just my perspective. You could do whatever you want to do with it, but that's just how I see it. And I ain't mad at it one bit. But moving along, almost getting ready to close. Man, there was a clip, and I debated on if I wanted to go live about this. But there is a clip of a father and a son. The son, I mean, he looked just like his dad. He basically was having a sit down with his father, who walked out on them. I guess walked out on him and his siblings. And I caught like the tail end of a back and forth, but it was a very powerful back and forth. And it had the comment section of the page that posted this really split. I might post it on the Notion. I might post it on Shorts or whatever the case it is. But basically, this father and son had a disagreement. He walked out. That's very frowned upon in pretty much every culture and every community, and started another family. I know Brian McKnight did something similar to that, and they dragged him. But the interesting thing about it was, when I went to the comment section after they had their back and forth, there was a significant amount of people that agreed with the father. And I was just scratching my head like, am I living in the Twilight Zone? Are people more familiar with the full story between this father and son? But basically, the son was trying to scold the father, explaining to him like, hey, man, you know, we was going to really drag you out here and make you do this, that, and the other. And he was like, man, I'm not finna do any of that. I'm not finna do anything you guys think you guys are trying to make me do. And I'm paraphrasing for a minute. It didn't exactly go like that. Matter of fact, I'll just show the clip.
We're going to start grabbing y'all ass and dragging y'all ass out of the house and making y'all talk.
Well, you won't find me.
No, you won't find you.
No, you won't.
Who gonna find you? We're going to come right in that house.
No, you won't.
There he is.
No, because I'm focused on my new family.
That's what I'm saying. Fucking new family. Why come in the house?
No, but those kids listen. Those kids not YN.
It's because when you got older, you got rid of all that trauma and you start raising them differently.
No, I raised them the same. They just appreciate it. appreciate what I'm doing.
So you basically was successful at raising slaves.
Call it what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's what you did. You went and got a new family because your old family didn't respect you because you was a coward.
So
and you ran from power.
So if I'm a coward, why y'all looking for me?
That's why we want to talk to you. We want to tell you to your face that you're a coward.
But I don't want to hear nothing from you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you again. That's why I left. Do you understand? That's why I left. To forget that you exist.
But yeah, basically, you know, the father was explaining to them, like, I walked out on y'all because y'all didn't respect me. And that's a tough one. Because we bring these children into the world. They don't ask to be here. But respect is a big thing to parents, and it's a big thing in the Black community when you're dealing with Big Mama, when you're dealing with your mother, your father, even older cousins that had a hand in raising you, uncles, all of that stuff. And so the son said, you know, yeah, man, he said something, you seen the clip, but, you know, he was talking about raising his other kids, and he was like, I raised them just like I tried to raise y'all, and they're appreciative, right? And he said, oh, so basically you were successful in raising him to be a slave. And at that point, I thought that, all right, he's just taking digs and, you know, doing all the extra stuff. But the thing that stood out to me the most was the father said, yeah, they're respectful and they're not out here trying to be YNs. For those that don't know what a YN is, young niggas is what it means. You'll see a lot of rappers that are YN such and such. That's what the YN stands for. They really don't have a good reputation as far as in what they represent. And so it seems to me like the dad got a little overwhelmed by their behavior, their disrespect towards him, probably trying to hit him with the YN culture. And he was like, all right, well, let me see how you guys do without me around. And, you know, that's when the back and forth went. Obviously, he called his father a coward. And, you know, the father's like, well, if I'm all of these things, why are you looking for me? I walked away so I don't have to look at you. So I don't have to remember that you exist. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I thought that was one of the most coldest things I ever heard a parent or seen a parent say to their child. I just think about my kids and I'm like, man, I don't think I could ever say anything like that. I love my kids, right? Like, for real. And most of us love their kids. Not everybody love their kids, unfortunately, but most of us that have kids love our kids, right? And so just me as a father, obviously with dealing with the recent Father's Day weekend, that kind of hurt me a little bit. I lost my father when I was 14. You know, I had the unfortunate experience of having to bury my father. I picked out his suit. I picked out his casket. It was the beginning of my journey in manhood at 14. So I couldn't imagine feeling that way, let alone my father saying something like that to me. My father was dope. You know what I mean? Anybody that knew my father, you know, had a lot of love for him, even with his hardships. And so seeing that dynamic with a father and son, that always bothers me. I always love seeing fathers and sons being together, respecting each other, having love for each other, because, you know, my experience ended so soon. But I had to ask myself, yo, are there boundaries for parents to the point where it's like, hey, I wash my hands with this? I know there's things like boot camp and stuff like that. And to me, that's kind of a reverse effect of walking out. When people have to send their children away to boot camps and different schools because they're not controllable, or you can't control them and you can't get them to act right, that's kind of a form of walking out, but not as extreme or as damaging, because it's like, you left me no other choice. I understand that for some families. I really do. There are some kids out here, some young men and some young women that are bad asses for real. Like, these people will take lives. They will rob grandmothers. They will hurt children. They're just like that. They're out there. They really are. And so me being a parent, me being around a lot of my homies that are parents, it really had me wondering, like, yo, there's really boundaries for your children. What are those boundaries? I don't know what mine are, because the way that I see my children, man, that's a whole other podcast. But I just wanted to know, because of how split the perspectives were in the comments of this post, how do you feel? Are there truly boundaries for you as a parent, for the parents out there, even new parents? Are there really boundaries for you as a parent to where you say, I'm done with you? You are too disrespectful. You are too out of control. And is that okay? Because this father, his demeanor, his energy was like, man, I don't care what you talking about. Like, you lucky I'm even sitting down with you and arguing with you, because I really wanted to just go to my physical hard drive and press format and erase you from existence. That's a lot of disdain, discomfort, and disgust for somebody you created. And I really would love to know the backstory. If any of you guys know the full interview or whatever the case is and want me to dive back into it, send it to me. Let me dive into the whole thing of how it even got to this point, because there was a lot of people that agreed with the father. And I'm going to be honest, there was a lot of people in the comment section saying, man, he's just echoing what the mother has been pouring into him and his siblings. And I thought that was powerful that a lot of people could put that together. And I understood what they mean by some of the things he was saying. But the father did make a good point, man. If you feel all of these things for me, why did you show up? And you obviously seen I showed up, because I wanted to tell you to your face, you're a coward. I don't never understand that. Like, if I don't like you and I don't deal with you, I think you're a coward. I don't need to go out of my way and let you know what you already are. You know that. I don't need to tell you that or remind you. It's not like you can have this epiphany like, oh, I am a coward. Like, I don't, people know who they are, no matter how much they try to hide it from society and themselves. But with this man, it sounds like there was some deep-rooted things that happened to where he gave up and they were upset because he gave up and all of this other stuff, and he went and started another family. And it's crazy because I had just did an episode a few episodes ago. Check it out. Go look in the Notion Podcast playlist where TK Kirkland literally said this to a man. Like, yeah, if a woman is doing this with your kid and won't let you see your kid and all that stuff, go start another family. I was just like that. I didn't realize how common that is for a lot of men when they feel like they don't have control of their household. Now, do I think that men should just be running off because they don't have control? No, I think you should try to get control. But every situation is different. I don't know the details, so I can't sit up here and judge. That's just my perspective from my situation on what I plan on doing and how I plan on maneuvering. But for you guys, let me know what you think. What is your boundaries? Tell me what your boundaries are, men and women. Let me know what your boundaries are with your children to where you say, I'm washing my hands, I'm done. And what age? Could it be any age? Because we be over it like when they like 2 and 3, like, all right, man, I'm taking you back to the store. But in all seriousness, what are your boundaries as a parent? What are the ages of some of those boundaries? And for those that don't have any boundaries, like, no matter what, I'm never going to give up on my child. I respect that too. No matter what you go through with your children, if you decide to never give up on them, I respect that too, just because I understand we brought them into this world. They didn't ask to be here. This is something that we wanted. So if you want to stay loyal to that, despite what they do, or if they cause chaos, or if they cause you stress, I get that. Because as a parent, they are our responsibility. We can't undo that. You know what I mean? But let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about that. It's been eventful, man, for real. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get out of here though. It's been eventful. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think. You know what I'm saying? For those of you, this is your first time showing up to the Notion Podcast, I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe, turn all notifications on. We are going to start going live. It's coming up real soon. We'll have it scheduled and everything. But let me know what you think about Will Smith. Is he too old to be having fun? Let me know what you think about the game's standards, okay? Is this what men are supposed to be doing in their relationship, paying for the upkeep of a woman and for a woman? Also, let me know what you think about the Joe Budden content. You know what I'm saying? Can a black man, a pro-black man, really be pro-black but not be married to a black woman? And last but not least, do we really have boundaries to where we give up on our children? This is Dizzy D Spill. Thank you for tuning in to the Notion Podcast. Stay sharp, stay bold, stay Notion. Until next time, peace.